Uh, Worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Thank you for welcoming me into your homes. Thank you for joining in once again. Right on time, Sister Carrie. You got me smiling, baby. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining me once again for building another episode of Building with Big King. As we're laying down the bricks and building the foundation for a new world paradigm, one that we like to say exhibits peace, love, respect. Thank you all for being with me once more again. Sister Carrie, big high five, then a salute. Then I'm gonna put you some stuff right here because the sister caught the synchronicity right with me at 3:33. I absolutely love it. Yes, indeed. Let's get you some fireworks and stuff in there. So yeah, we love that. So let's get some love up in there. You out of this world, so let's get some of them up in there. All of that. Yeah. Thank you, sister. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, get get off. This thing's always trying to do something. Okay, it's up there. Word life, word life. Everybody, as you come in, feel free to announce yourself in the chat. We love to say hi to you. Welcome everybody to the conversation one more again. And y'all, you know that it's definitely time for what? It's the worldwide movement. Y'all ain't ready for that yet. The new album is in the works, baby. We 4 songs in on 11. And next week it'll probably be number 5. And we're going to keep on cranking them out pretty soon. The album will be out. Thank you all so much for your support. For checking out the first album. Please still go and check out the first album, right? Definitely need your love and support on that. Check out everything I do. Please help me to grow and help to grow the worldwide movement. Cuz, what's up? Oh, man, happy Mother's Day to y'all faithful, loving sister jumping in there with me. Alicia, thank you for being in here with me, babe. Happy Mother's Day to both of you. This is the Mother's Day special, right? And we most certainly don't want to waste no time in sending out goo gobs of love to all the mothers. I had to bring back a adjective we ain't heard in a while, right? Big goo gobs worth of love to the mother. How much is that? How much is a goo gob? My mother used to say that all the time. Oh man, we love y'all. True indeed. Shout and salute to all the mothers, man. First of all, I want to say I'm in a serious note to today's subject. We're going to be talking about some ways that this society, Western society here in the U.S. in particular, has dropped the ball, right? When it comes to looking out for and protecting the well-being of our mothers, right? And that's something that we need to never lose sight of. We need to never lose sight of how vital and important a role mothers play in this world, right? Women in general, but certainly mothers in particular, in growing the world. How you think we got to be almost 8 billion strong? All you wonderful mothers out there make that, excuse me, a reality. So, and that's why I say hi, I say happy Mother's Day to one another in the chat. Man, I hope y'all are having a magnificent Mother's Day so far. You most certainly deserve it. Now, Getting into today's subject matter just a bit. We all gonna try to mix a little celebration in there, y'all. You know, we're gonna have the sistren, brethren, sistren, marijuana, ganja, righteous cannabis should have never been taken away from us by the crooked scheme and propaganda of Harry Anslinger and his partner. I talked about the guy in the one podcast and I forgot his name again. But anyway, y'all get the point that we are celebrating mothers today. And we're going to be talking about how society has dropped the ball, right, in a number of ways in terms of looking out for the well-being and the overall health and well-being of our mothers, and how we're going to pick that ball right back up and do what we need to do and cherish and hold our mothers dear and make sure that we are providing an environment and a life for them to be healthy and thriving and well and in their best position to be the best mothers they can be, right? How you want to have good mothers if the mothers can't have a good life? Let's get this right. Huh? Make it right. True indeed. I know I love my mother magnificently. What's up, brother? Brother Michael Washington in the building one more time. Thank you for your continued support, brethren. Salute to all of y'all. Brother Michael, cuz Alicia, Sister Carrie, thank you all. I appreciate you tremendously. Thank you. Welcome to the Mother's Day special. As again, we are talking about how society has dropped the ball overall in the well-being and providing an atmosphere for a good life for our mothers, right? So that they can enjoy their lives and certainly be in the best position to be the best mothers that they can be to our children, right? And just the amount of gratitude that we should be exuding to them should always grow, right? And we should always be in appreciation of the mothers. Don't forget that. Yeah, man. My mother, in many ways, many times saved my life. Right? True that. You talking about somebody that was down from, man, you talking about your right, or you can, when you got to make that call, man. Mom, Dukes, y'all better know. Y'all better know. My mother could tell you some stories about when she done came and swooped me up out of the fire. You dig? Because I, in my younger life, used to be really out there in the streets, just liable to be in any kind of mayhem, right? And more than one occasion, she helped me out of some dire situations that I put myself in, right? But anyway, and then more than one way, you know, when I was in the lowest point in terms of, you know, really feeling guilt and I don't know, just a sort of destitute, right? We had a severe fire that could be linked back to my recklessness, we'll say, right? And man, I felt really bad about that because, you know, we had people getting trapped in that fire. My mother, for some time, was trapped in that fire, right? But you know, thanks to some brave firemen and police officers up here in Penn Hills, I'll give them a shout out for that. Never will I be remiss for them saving my mother's life, for not showing my gratitude and appreciation. Y'all can say what you want about the police. You know how I've been riding for the longest. But there's certainly some good men and women out there in uniform who do risk their lives, and we should always appreciate them. So shout out there. But yeah, man, during that time, I was wrestling with some serious guilt, you know, and I guess early stages of depression. I had not long before that, my father passed, you know, and then Then that happens with the fire. Man, I was in a bad spot, and nobody could have lifted me up out of it but my mother, and she surely did. Um, so for that, yeah, that's right. I hear y'all acknowledging moms in the chat. True indeed. Um, you know, that and many other many other ways. Many. No shortage of instances in which my mother has been there for me, just like I know your mothers have been there for you, right? Um, so let's always make sure that on our level, how we do it, that we appreciate it. We're showing appreciation to our mothers, really. Um, everyone show appreciation to your mother. All right, now getting a little more into the subject matter, let's think about some things, right? Just from a psychological standpoint, right? What it is to be a woman in this society, one that is certainly um, uh, patriarchal, right? Certainly leans toward um, a masculine perspective in everything, the way everything is worded, right? You can't even read a Bible or Quran or any kind of religious scripture without everything being in terms or perspective of a male, or even giving reference to the creator as being a male, although the creator is not male nor female, right? Let's be clear about that. But we should at least take notice of what that could do to someone's psyche, right? If you're a female, a woman, you're growing up in life, and every time you're to think of the creative source, you are given masculine attributes to claim to, and you always have to say he and his, right? So just that alone. Um, when if we're all born born into these physical bodies and born through a woman, and we're born through the process of the galactic womb, right? How can we not acknowledge the creative energy as a mother, right? So our society, even psychologically, um, drops the ball on acknowledging uh, motherhood and the importance of mothers and the role of the energy of the great mother, right? That should be acknowledged by all of us. Um, Indeed. And then look at, of course, all the myriad of things that we all know have been unfair and unfair toward women. Um, Unfair wages, unfair treatment, not to even begin to think about all the stresses and strains of abuse and different forms of abuse that women have to face. All of that, bearing all of that on their shoulders and still being mothers to their children. Huh? Many of them doing it alone as single mothers. Huh? So, how could we live in a society that is so dismissive of, that does not hold as sacred as we used to? Mm-hmm. All you indigenous folks out there, that's our culture. As we used to, right? Always hold respect for the mother. And indeed, really all cultures in their root come from a tradition where in some way the mother is exalted as she should be, right? And it's just far too often in this culture and the way our mentalities have been skewed, right? That we think from a purely uh, 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 masculine standpoint and don't acknowledge the impact, the input of the mother. When in fact, and I'm gonna jump in the chat 1 second. I know everybody got some things to say, and I ain't gonna talk a whole lot today. But when in fact, even when we start to think about the fact that, and Elijah Muhammad definitely pointed this out, that anytime systematically, if you look through history, when the uh, uh, colonizers, we'll say, have sought to break down society for colonization, to conquer them and to colonize them, to break down first their society before the attack. Take a look at history. Often that's the prelude. There is an attack on the women, right? And Elijah Muhammad identified, listen, the women are the first teachers, the teachers of the children. If you attack the women in various forms, then you also are breaking down the entire nation by attacking the children, right? So this is why indoctrination is so heavily steered toward, and specifically how women are identified as a target by the sort of tentacles of the cabal of the globalists, the socially economic elite, who have a low vibrational frequency agenda and plans in store for women. Did you know, for this being, as we hold the Western society in such great esteem, especially feeling like we're sort of at the pinnacle of everything, right? How we have we're the richest, most advanced country, right? We have the best health care we often boast about. Did you know that the United States is amongst the highest of all nations in infant mortality and in the mortality of the mothers? Did you know that? Specifically in the case of the mortality of mothers, surprisingly, I believe they're in like the top 5 in the world. But we're supposed to have the best medical system, right? So if we're supposed to have the best medical system, let's even put that expectation out the way. It's fair and reasonable to expect that we would have a system where mothers can bring life into the world without risking their own lives, right? Where this can be a healthy experience and a beautiful experience even. Then what is it that differs here than other places of the world where childbirth is proving to be much safer? And the one glaring thing is the role of the pharmaceutical industry. This is in my personal observation. Certainly, as I always say, never take my opinions or statements as fact and just roll with them. And don't do that with anybody. Always check for yourselves, right? Look into it. And you'll see what I'm saying is accurate, that the United States is alarmingly high in the mortality of mothers. And if you were to just logically trace lines to what is different in this country as opposed to many of the other world's countries where it is much safer, and you will glaringly see, or at least I would think that you will come to a conclusion that is similar to, if not the same as mine, that part of the reason for that, or the one thing that we could say, okay, this is definitely different and point to it, is the role of the pharmaceutical industry in childbirth. the drugs leading up to pregnancy often, okay? Drugs during the pregnancy. And folks, even some of those quote unquote prenatal vitamins, if you take a look at them, there's some ingredients that you might question, okay? And certainly some of the drugs that they receive after childbirth or during the process of childbirth or even shortly after, because when they calculate the mortality rate, they include up to, I believe, 36 hours after childbirth, right? And still they're among the leaders in mortality of mothers. So this is most certainly an alarming issue, something that I think many of us had no idea was the case, because again, we always just naturally boast about how the U.S. has the best medical system, right? And I'm not saying this to, again, take away from any of the many talented and more than proficient and efficient and magnificent doctors who are out there, right? But the system, right? We're talking about systematic problems and issues. There's too much of a heavy hand of influence by the pharmaceutical industry, in my opinion, in the process. And it does also coincide with the one thing that is different from other countries that have a much lower mortality rate when it comes to the mothers in the birthing process. So this is very important, and I think something that we need to not just walk away from here and poo-poo and leave it away, but that we should be aware of, spread awareness on, and position ourselves to be actionable in changing these things, right? All right. Worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. Certainly plenty more I could say on this subject, but let's jump into the chat because y'all got some things to say and I need to know what you're thinking. Brother Michael comes in. All right. I'm sorry. Let's go back. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, indeed. So we got everybody, of course, wish their mother happy Mother's Day. That's cool. We see that in the chat from Sister Carrie, Brother Michael. So I miss my mom. Wish was here still. Wish she was here still. True indeed, brother. And I feel you on that. My mother is here. But my father passed at an early age, and I know a lot of people whose mothers have transitioned, and you know, that's a void for many people, but also it's a bridge. It's a bridge into all that love that is waiting there for us on the other side of the veil, because we know the mother's always going to be waiting like this with their arms open. So I hope that is a comforting thought to you, brethren. All right, and Michael says we need to cherish the women. Without them, there wouldn't be good and great times. Dig that. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. We passing that back and forth. True indeed. Respect. And what she says, keeping my bed warm. That's right, brethren. So you know it. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Mom's is making sure your place is already there right for you. True indeed, man. That's a bond, a love that just doesn't go away, right? So we hold on to that love. We hold on to that love. That's a beautiful thing. So yeah, man. What do y'all think about the unfortunate dropping of the ball? I mean, if we're going to, as a country in particular, boast and toot our horns about all of our medical advancements and accomplishments, which they are great and they are many. But how can we do so without turning our eye to the very beginning of life, right? And making sure that the process is very respectful of, certainly safe for, and is all about the well-being of the mothers, of course, the children, but also the mothers in that process. I know when I first found that out, it was extremely alarming to me. I'm just like, well, here we are always boasting about how great our medical care here is in the United States, and we're dropping the ball when it comes to even providing for our women to have a safe child delivery. That's horrible. And folks, wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? Unfortunately, those numbers go up dramatically when we start talking about minority women, because we, again, unfortunately, have seen from several other studies in the past that we were talking about the overall health care of minorities. The arrow points down. And this also can be tied to economic classes. So it is socioeconomic. Big surprise, because at the top, we see, of course, always the socially economic elite. So, and if any socioeconomic elite individual should ever chance upon Big King Sadiq's YouTube channel and happen to come into this podcast starting at 3:33 every Sunday, please make yourselves known and know that it's not that you're hated, but the paradigm you established, the plans that you have laid out, the agendas that you have enacted in order to attempt to hold on and clutch on to that old paradigm of misery, pain, and hate that afforded all of you so much control. It's not that we hate you, but we are done with that paradigm. And anytime that you tend to clutch onto it, we're going to fight back. We're going to stop you, and we're going to surge powerfully forward with a new paradigm, the framework of which we are building, on places like this, on formats like this, on platforms like this, on the podcast Buildin with Big King. We're building those future foundations for the new paradigm going forward, one that exhibits peace, love, respect. So I just had to throw that in there, because ultimately, as all things, this, in terms of responsibility, right? And for enacting these things and making them an active aspect or a part of our society that we have to deal with, we find the agendas of the socially economic elite, right? Again, if we are looking at the populationist movement, right, that is comprised of a globalist cabal who have the most resources, influence, power, and reach in order to enact a said plan, right? One that would have only 500 million people on the planet out of a potential or near 8 billion people currently as our population, then we got to be suspicious of things of this nature, right? A country that is highly advanced in their medical procedures, discoveries, and accomplishments, but yet somehow is still having a very high mortality rate amongst women giving birth. This doesn't make sense, right? I don't have to spew a conspiracy. It's common sense that that doesn't make sense. It doesn't go along one with the other, right? So we have to ask questions and peer into the possibilities that perhaps there is an agenda that is associated with this, right? And knowing that there is a depopulationist agenda out there, and the reach and resources that those folks have, and that they are at some of the very heads, right? Many of the heads of the top corporations in the pharmaceutical industry that I already identified as having far too big a hand in the role or in that whole process of childbirthing, right? Then we've got to ask the tough questions and look at the tough realities that this may be a purposeful thing. I know, quite dark to think of, But what do we think a depopulationist movement would look like? The very words depopulate. Well, if the planet's populated and you're going to reduce the population, you're talking, the population is people living. We're talking about life. You want to reduce the life. You're talking about taking life away. You're talking about taking lives. How else you going to depopulate the planet? Unless y'all teleporting folks to some moon in some, far off, distant location, some interstellar location. How else are you going to get the population down to 500 million out of nearly 8 billion people, right? So, all right. What can we do differently? Because remember, folks, like I always say, the power is in the hands of the people. One thing we can do differently is systematically, right? And pathologically, we can go back and undo some of the things that we see actively happening or being done in society. We can, particularly fellas, right? Join me. Step up. Men, we can do our part in resisting and fighting against those societal messages that would dilute the importance of women and mothers in particular in our society, right? We can start to push back and fight against the messaging that we see passed on in our music, in all of the audiovisual arts and movies, TV, any form of multimedia, right? All of the messaging that would be derogatory toward or that would be disparaging of mothers and women in general, we can push back and fight against that, right? We don't have to go along with that, particularly those of us who are not just old enough, but wise enough, because this bears fruit in many young men that are wise enough to realize and recognize these things when they come to us, right? They are, in fact, when you are an illuminated one, these things, these sorts of forms of indoctrination and these sorts of lies are illuminated. You see them coming, right? And thus you have an ability to not let them have the desired effect on you, and you can push back, and we can certainly support, right? Support, provide for, protect, nurture, appreciate, and cherish our women, and in particular, the mothers, right? Right, fellas? All right. I know you with me. All right, let's jump back in. Sister Carrie says, I think it also has a lot to do with insurance. Yes, the insurance industry in this country in particular works hand in hand with the pharmaceutical industry. There and the AMA, the AMA, the American Medical Association. So they're essentially like a three-pronged or three-headed monster, so to speak, right? The pharmaceutical industry, the AMA, and the insurance industry. And between the three, they have come up with the current form of medicine, which was all darkly skewed by John D. Rockefeller decades ago, right? The pharmaceutical industry used to look a lot more like holistic medicine does today. There was a time when it did, before the likes of John D. Rockefeller and other nefarious individuals with nefarious agendas got their hands into what the pharmaceutical industry looked like, and it became the toxic mega money garnering and garnishing mega money making machine that it is today. that certainly has the well-being of the patients very low on the list, most certainly well below the profit line. So, yes, Sister Carrie, thank you for that point. Excellent point. Actually, I'll give you some more explode. Sister Carrie. We had to throw something in there for you, sis. That was a great point. Alicia comes in and says a lot of women. Hold up. Here's another great point I see about to happen. All right. Alicia says a lot of women experience doctors who don't take their concerns seriously until it's too late. Yes, 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 yes. I wish I would have read that earlier. You are most certainly right. And again, unfortunately, we see these incidences reported far more frequently amongst minority women. And I need to point that out because it's a fact that we need to address and change, right? But in particular, all women have experienced this that issue, that problem, right? It's not just an issue among minority women only. Women have struggled to find a voice, period, in this society, but still struggle in many times and instances to find a voice in the medical proceedings that involve their lives, right? And there are far too often medical individuals, and again, this is not a disparagement against those very talented, dedicated, proficient, efficient, effective, and magnificent medical professionals who don't meet this description, but there are many who are all too willing to completely ignore a woman's ability, a patient's for that matter, but especially a woman's ability, and most certainly a mother's ability to know their own body. You know when something's wrong, ladies, right? And these doctors should be listening to that. Most certainly. That is a magnificent point, Alicia. A very powerful and important one that we need to be actionable about and making sure that we're there. See, one thing that made me notice is that we got to. I want to address something that's a change that's been made. There was a time, even I'm only 51, and my children were only born 20 something years ago. We're not talking about 40, 50 years ago, but just that long ago, there was a time when, like, I went to every single appointment with my children's mother regarding, her well-being during pregnancy and anything that was going on with the children. I was there. I'm in there. Any procedure, I'm in there like Johnny Bench. What's going on? Huh? I want to know. And also, I was there supporting her, and empowering her, and making sure her voice was heard. Oh, you go and hear it and answer it, huh? And unfortunately, we don't have enough of that. We need fellas to step up in that, because what I have really seen as a trend, and this is not, I don't even blame the fellas as much as this has become a medical trend, but we do need to speak up about it for change. A medical trend that they want to separate you all the time, right? There used to be a time that there was men who did not, men and women. The woman will say, no, you're not, my husband could stay right here. What are you talking about? In the room. And should be. And that should be upheld and respected. Right? And it is only recent medical procedure that these doctors and these nurses and medical professionals have become so insistent that, you know, we're out of the room, men, and that the women are kept with virtually no support group. Well, that makes it a lot easier to drown out the woman's voice in these proceedings if she doesn't have a support system around her right there in the room, right? So that whole practice, especially with the husband, because what are you saying that is improper for the husband to be in the room for? There is nothing. He's more y'all the strangers, right? So and you know, like I said, I was there for everything. I'm talking even gynae visits, right? Because not in a intrusive sort of disruptive manner, but again, in a manner in which my woman knows she's supported, she's empowered, she can ask whatever questions she want to ask. It won't be ignored, it will be answered, right? Or we find another medical professional right here and now, but y'all not just gonna make her feel like she got to be quiet when she knows she's got concerns about her body, right? And I think that that's something we really got to do. Thank you, Sister Carrie, for acknowledging what Alicia said, because that was powerful, very powerful. We got to change that. We have to actively work to change that environment. Period. That whole thing. Period, man. Even like, you know, they're just too quick to be like, oh, you must leave the room. Oh, we need you to leave. You know, they're too quick to separate people, separate families, separate loved ones. Like in instances when it's not necessary. There are some situations where maybe it's necessary, prudent, and best in terms of medical procedure. But there are many instances, at least in my opinion, that if you really examine the situation and what's happening, that it's entirely not necessary for that separation to occur. So that's something I'm curious about. I want to raise a flag about, and I want us all to pay attention to more, so that we are not leaving our women in positions where they feel powerless, where they feel they don't have a voice to speak up about concerns they have about their own health and well-being. You women know what's going on with your bodies, most certainly. And that should never be ignored. Never. It's never acceptable for that to be ignored, right? All right. Man, magnificent yet again. I know a lot of people are busy. It's Mother's Day. I appreciate y'all so much for being here with me and helping to put together another magnificent episode. Let's not tip it over my peas. Right. Brother Michael comes in and says, you're not kicking me out the room. I'm in here, backbone. That's what I'm talking about, brethren. True that. True that. I'm telling you, man, they be quick to be like, sir, and they do it in such a dismissive way, like there's not even a question, like there's no conversation to be had. You know, we got to speak up, and when you do, and when you do it intelligently, and here's the thing, y'all, don't let the medical professionals divide y'all. Don't let it be no divide and conquer. Because if you got the woman as the patient and the man as the support system, or whoever else may be there as part of the support system speaking up, and they're both saying, no, we want to stay together in the room. We don't know. The woman, especially when the patient is saying, no, I want them in the room, or I want him in the room, or her in the room, right? There is no actual, you know how they always invoke the doctor-patient confidentiality and other things of that nature. There is no real legal standpoint for them, or any way they can ground for them to stand on to say that you absolutely cannot be or should not be in the room. It's just not, in many instances, necessary, quite frankly. So we do need to speak up about that and be firm about our intention, both the woman as the patient and the man or anyone else who is there as support, right? That is very important indeed. All right. Anybody else have anything you want to speak up about, or a comment you want to add, statement you want to make, or question you want to ask relevant to this subject matter? Because again, does the irony not strike other people the way it strikes me? I mean, I hear it so often speak of other parts of the world like they're so far behind us and we're so civilized and they're so uncivilized, right? But over here, it's not like we say it and we think that and we believe that, many of us, but like the facts ain't adding up. Our diets, much of what is a part of our diet in this country, is actually banned as food products in other countries. And here I am today also telling you this important thing that when it comes to childbirth, delivery is much more dangerous in this country than it is for these other countries that we always like to point the finger at and say they're so far behind us. No, this stuff is not adding up. Something's not right. And I think that we need to take note of that. Also, there's eugenics, right? Many of you may not know much about eugenics, or maybe you do, but eugenics is that school of thought that sort of believes and leans in on certain individuals in society would have been better off not being born. That's the main overall premise of eugenics, right? And because of that overall mindset or sort of theme, they justify several different things as a remedy for these individuals existing on the planet. Things like sterilization and targeted sterilization, right? We think Planned Parenthood is just, they're just helping out. No, look into the founders of Planned Parenthood. Look at how the founders and the top officials within the ranks of the Planned Parenthood sort of structure, right, belong to these families and these groups who have identified themselves as being part of that movement that believes in and exercises eugenics. Once again, we see that they target areas where minorities over in this country, but if we look worldwide, it's always tends to be areas where there are high concentrations of people of color, highly melanated or non-ether beings in particular. Oh, they're all up and down the African continent with eugenics schemes and investments that have been launched through decades and currently right now, right? And yes, Mr. Gates, his family, intricately tied in with eugenics as well. But again, I'm not going to sidetrack. Just keep in mind that all these things make up and are the reason for and are the systems that we don't see on a daily level, because again, most of us are just too busy with what they call the rat race, right? Or sort of the hamster wheel where we're working, trying to stay alive, trying to pay these bills, trying to keep things going, right? Understandably so, don't have the energy, the time, or the interest to even delve into these things. And I can understand that. That's a purposeful thing. That's not your fault. But nonetheless, these things are there. When we do take a moment and start to peer into finding out that these are the systems that are in place that are facilitating and are the causation behind why we see things like this country being amidst the leaders in the world in mortality for childbirthing, right? For this being one of the countries in the world that childbirthing is most dangerous, right? It doesn't make sense. All right, folks. Man, this has been a magnificent show once again. And again, I want to see us communicate more amongst one another. I want to see us reach out more to one another, to start to organize more and put ourselves in positions where we can be actionable, where we can make change, right? Where we can influence policymakers, lawmakers, right? Where we can influence these corporations and even hold these corporations accountable on our own, whether it be by boycott or whatever way we need to, right? These corporations that keep putting those we care about in harm's way. And in particular today, we're talking about the mothers. All right, folks. Anybody else have a comment that they want to add, a question they want to ask, or a statement they want to make about today's subject, about the irony of it, or about, again, let's talk and keep our minds on where we need to go, right? How we need to step up and do things differently, how we need to be actionable in reshaping our paradigm, one that is in favor of the overall health and well-being of women in general, and most certainly mothers. Anybody else? I love to hear what y'all got to say. You know it. Y'all might must around get me to tapping out some more of them emojis. True that. I'm gonna wait for a minute or two. And if anybody got anything else that they want to state, I would love to hear it from you. All right. And yeah, we are in celebration mode still. You know, as many of us have been, I just most certainly have been afforded a magnificent mother. And I salute you, Darlene, my 7. She knows why I call her my 7, and why she is the 7 indeed. But yeah, Darlene. She wouldn't mind me saying her name, her full name, Darlene Embry, right? Previously, Darlene Anderson. Always, and previously, Darlene Curry, their maiden name. Let's not forget that. Man, magnificent. A shining jewel of an example of a mother. One that I know could only have come directly from the creative source. So I salute you, mother, eternally. You know it. I tell her all the time, and she knows it. Fortunately, I'm not remiss in giving my mother her flowers as often as I can, right? I adore my mother. Truthfully, I do. So I'll wait just a little bit longer. If anybody else got anything else they want to see, I see some hearts flying there. That's magnificent. Let's keep any kind of expression of love, man, and gratitude for the mothers. Happy Mother's Day. Do your thing. Listen to your music, right? Hope you got a magnificent meal to eat. You know, I hope you're feeling just as vivacious and beautiful and honored and cherished as you should, because you are and should be. And know that I most certainly salute you and honor you eternally. The mothers out there, word life. All right. I'll wait just a little bit longer while I begin the celebrations a little stronger. Carrie jumps in, true indeed. Yes. Thank you with the love and emojis, right? And shout out to Mama D. Yes. Man, I'm telling you. My mother, one of a kind. You know how they say them that they don't make them like that no more. Right? But they do. And I acknowledge all of you, but man, she's special. And one of a kind to me, indeed. We can all just take a moment and think, just reflect just for a moment, just let that little video clip go off in your mind of how your mama been there for you. Huh? Huh? How your mama been there for you. Man, I'm trying to tell you. Magnificent indeed. Uh-oh, hold on, folks. We ain't getting kicked out like that. Give me a moment while I adjust our lack of power. Slight technical issue that we're experiencing. And I don't want us to lose it prematurely. All right, we ain't going nowhere. Like fine wine, we ain't leaving till it's time. All right. And the celebration continues. Brother Michael jumps in and says, "It's been all day in my mind." That's right. That clip, he been playing that clip all day in his mind, just like me, brother. Yes, indeed. You know? And we should remember the mothers every day, but most certainly today, man. Take a moment. Let that clip play in your mind. We all got one. We all got one. At least most of us, right? You know, anybody who lost a mother before having the opportunity to have a relationship with her, maybe there's some people whose mother died in childbirth, like we're talking about today. We salute y'all and honor y'all, and we feel for you in that void that has been in your life, but we acknowledge it and we love and celebrate the mother who brought you in this world. Huh? We celebrate her. Brother Michael says, good, great, and bad times, but love all. True indeed. Through all times, mothers give us that love that we need. Got to have it. Got to have mama's love, boy. You can go. Any gangster in the world can tell me, right? Can agree with me. You could be in the worst beef in the world. Could walk in the door fresh off a gunfight. You dig? Fresh out of shootout. Fresh off a shootout. You could have lost somebody, whatever. But when you got the love of your mother to lean on, it's that one thing to give you that strength to go through anything you got to go through in life. Ain't nothing like the love of your mother, man. Salute. Man, oh man. Nothing like it. Anybody else? We got at least another minute or so. We'll hold another minute or two to it. Okay, brother Michael jumps back in, says call at 4 a.m, and she's always there, always answers. Ain't that right? Huh? Mama gonna always know them babies is right even when they grown. 4 a.m, you pick up the phone. Mama's right there. Right there. True indeed. I told y'all earlier, many times, I had to pick up the phone. I remember one time See, I shouldn't be saying this. But this was the old me, y'all. Old me. I remember one time I had seemed like a whole police department looking for me, the entire department, helicopters included, dogs, the whole nine was after me. And mama come swoop me up on the slide, right? So I say, right or wrong, your mother got your back, right or wrong. How important is it in life to have that? Just think about that for a minute, because we all gonna be wrong sometimes. We ain't always right. Period. But right or wrong, your mother always got your back. We done seen serial killers and be like, how can his mother sit up there and still say, I know this, but I love my son? Because there ain't nothing like the love of a mother. Huh? It's the closest thing we got to the love that our Creator has for us. Closest thing. Ain't nothing like the love of a mother. Don't you ever forget. Remember back in the day, y'all, we wanted to put emphasis on, don't you ever forget it. Don't you ever forget it. Huh? You always heard somebody say that at the end of a cookout, one of the drunk uncles, right? Don't you ever forget it. I remember my dad used to always hit us with the man amongst men. Shout out to my pops. Ain't here, but I know he's walking right with me always. Love you. Man. True indeed. I brought you in this world, and I'll take you out. Hey, we all heard that. Huh? You better not bite that hand that fed you and took care of you, man. True indeed. Brought you in this world, I'll take you out. Hey, y'all. I remember when I was coming up, we would look at certain shows on TV and hear, I ain't gonna say point out like who it was or all that, or make any separations. It was this race or that race or whatever. That's the point. We look at TV and be astonished when we would hear or see a child like talking back to their mother or father, or like, you know, getting smart, or let alone call a mother a name. What? Are you? Where Little John at? What? You must be crazy, Carrie. No. Sister Carrie, know I'm talking about. Your mother be across the room, right? Are you crazy? The house where we came in, it was just a different level of revering and respect that we had. And I listen, I'm not a supporter and beating children. I didn't mean to get into that on that subject matter. I'm just talking about the respect, the revere, the level, the pedestal we put. Man, it was a time that them was the for sure fighting words. Huh? Man, I don't care who you was. You bet not say nothing about my mother. Man, them was the for sure fighting word. You know how many fights I got into in school because somebody dared to open their mouth to even start to say your mother. It might as well been as slow. Your mother. My fist was already on the way. I'm just keeping it funky. Y'all asked about Eves one time back in the day, but we ain't gonna get. What Carrie say, I still say that LO. And it literally could be in slow motion. Yo, what? Y'all remember the Bionic Man, Steve Austin? He used to throw it. How many of y'all old enough to remember the $6 million man and woman? Y'all remember? All right, I'm just waiting cutting up, y'all. But I told you we're in celebration mode. We should be all having a good time, feeling right, celebrating and remembering our mothers in those days past, man. Because we all should have them and appreciate them, and have that love and appreciation. We should have that feeling, huh? In here about our mothers, and man, a lot of it has to do with reminiscing, right? Remembering back. I got a new song on the album that I could play right then and there. That was a nice segue for it, but I can't go there just yet, y'all. I can't pre-release the stuff. I'm excited about this new album. Y'all see I keep talking about it every now and then. Yeah, true indeed. True indeed. Man. Once again, the shameless plug. Please, everybody, let's say we'll be getting 2 ass kicking first from the mall. From the mall, and then she'll say, wait till your dad gets you out. Yo, if anybody knew my dad coming up, right? And my cousins will tell you about this. Those that remember and who was old enough, right? Because my pops did die when I was only 13. But those who remember my pops, man, when my mother Gay told us that first of all, she got us, she'll get us, she'll mess around and get you right in the stove. And you'd be surprised. People be looking, man, that's back when it was different, right? But when she say, wait till I tell your dad, and your dad gonna get that ass when you get home. Oh, we used to beg my mother. No, please, I'll never do it. I'll never do it again. Please just don't tell dad please, no, mom. Man, my dad, I love him. Walks here with me, right? But my dad got that ass. You didn't want that dad ass whooping. When you got, Mike say, I run a hat when I hear the garage, run a hat when you hear the garage door open. As soon as dad get, you know it's hard. Yeah. I'd be looking at the clock, knowing when my dad get off work, like, no, oh my goodness. You damn near go crazy. It's hold on. The mental was enough to get you, the mental anguish was enough to get you alive just thinking about it, right? Like, no, mom, please don't. Oh man, my mother held a lot of power just with whether or not she was going to tell pops. You know, you want me to tell? Man, stop it. Brother Michael comes back in and says, I remember getting hit with the wooden spoon while she's in the kitchen mixing up the cake. Man, Mike get the big joint from off the wall. Remember the big spoons off the wall? They have to put that back on your ass. Stop. All right, John, quit. True that. Oh man. True that. Yes, indeed. Oh man. Mama, a super prayer. She's a punch me in the chest. Hey man, look, whatever, right? Mama's gonna get you alive. Pops is gonna get you alive. Listen, as much as I'm not, I'm much different in some of the things because I'm sure that my seeds might kind of say the same thing about me. I was a little bit like my dad in that way. But and I'm very different on my stance in that now. But still, in general, I liked it a lot better when it was up to the parents to get the children in line rather than the trend we see it moving to now, where so much power is being taken away from the parents and put into the hands of the state or the school or whoever, the doctor, everybody. Seemed like everybody got power over your child except you. Anyway, another podcast. Oh man. Okay, y'all. We celebrating and cutting up and feeling good. And ain't nothing wrong with that. We should be feeling great, magnificent, and indeed in celebratory fashion, celebrating our mothers this Mother's Day now and forward. We did address some vital concerns, and we know that we have to be more vehement about changing, and we will. We will, because it's all part of a new paradigm that we're forming the foundation of, right? That you helped me build with. Brother Michael comes back in and says, I feel better after this post. What should I say? Podcast, appreciate your kind words and uplifting from everyone. Hey, man, we glad that you feel better, brother, because we love you and we appreciate you for being here. And we love your mother for being your mother, because without your mother, wouldn't have been no you. And we appreciate you and certainly salute and honor your mother in that way. Right? So I'm glad that we all have this forum where we can have an opportunity to pick each other up, because we do that, and we're for each other in that way. And that's, again, one of the things that I love about being here with y'all and having these conversations and uplifting each other always when we have the opportunity to, and pitching in together. My man, 100 family, and always, being here for one another and strengthening each other as we all chipping in and helping to build, right? That's what you come here to do, to help Big King Sadiq build this foundation for this new paradigm, one that we like to say exhibits peace, love, respect. All right. Now, with that, I'll give a few more seconds. And this time, folks, if we don't have any more questions, comments, or statements, in a few more seconds, I'm going to go ahead and close it out after what has been a magnificent conversation, another episode. We will, again, of course, be right back here next week. Right here, 3:33. Right? Catching that synchronicity and making sure that we meet once again, and all of us chipping in to build. You're helping to build with Big King, building that foundation for the new paradigm. Again, one that we like to say exudes peace, love, respect. All right. Well, with that said, yes, Sister Carrie, thank you. Cuz Alicia, thank you. Thank you. Brother Michael, thank you. Everybody who's been with us today, I appreciate you all tremendously. I feel like I forgot about somebody. If I forgot anybody, I didn't actually forget you in my heart. I love you and I thank you all. Appreciate you all tremendously so much for being here with me. Be with me next week. That's right, at 3:33, baby. Nice and sharp. Man, that tickled me when I seen that. I love it. Thank you, Carrie. Truly, baby. Thank you all. I love you all. I'll see you next week in the next episode of Building with Big King, as we continue to build a worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq, I'm out.